a shoemaker who, through no fault of his own, became so poor that at last he had nothing left but just enough leather to make one pair of shoes. He cut out the shoes at night, so as to set work on them the next morning. And as he had a good conscience, he laid himself quietly down in his bed, committed himself to heaven, and fell asleep. In the morning, after he had said his prayers and was going to get work, he found a pair of shoes made and finished, and standing on his table was very much astonished and did not know what to think. After a moment, the poor man took the shoes in his hands, examined them more carefully, and found them so well made that every stitch was in the right place, just as if they had come from hands of a master workman. Soon after, a purchaser entered, and as the shoes fitted him very well, he gave more than the usual price for them, so that the shoemaker had enough money to buy leather enough for 2 more pairs of shoes. He cut out the shoes at night, and intended to set to work the next morning with fresh spirit. But that was not so big, for when he got up, the 2 pairs of shoes were already finished, and even the customer was not lucky, who gave so much money that he was able to buy leather enough for 4 pairs also finished. And so it always happened. Whatever he got out in the evening was brought up by the morning, so that he was soon in the way of making a good living. In the end, became very well-to-do. One night, not long before Christmas, when the shoemaker had finished cutting out, and before he went to bed, he said to his wife, "How would it be we were to sit up tonight and see who does the service?" His wife agreed and set a light to burn. They both hid in a corner of a room, behind some coats that were hanging up, and then they began to watch. As soon as it was midnight, they saw come 2 neatly formed little men who seated themselves on the shoemaker's table and took up the work that was already prepared. They began to stitch 2 pairs and to hammer so cleverly and quickly with their little fingers that the shoemaker's eyes could scarcely follow them. So full wonder was he, and that they never left until when everything was finished and ready on the table. The next morning, the shoemaker's wife said to her husband, "This little man made us rich, and we ought to show ourselves grateful. With all their running about and nothing having to cover them, they must be very cold. I tell you what, I will make little shirts, coats, waistcoats, and breeches for them, and knit each of them a pair of stockings, and you shall make each of them shoes." The husband consented willingly, and at night, when everything was finished, they laid the gift together on the table, instead of cut out work, and placed themselves so that they could observe how little man would behave. When midnight came, they rushed in, ready to set work. But when they found, instead of pieces, the neat little garments, they stood a moment in surprise and didn't show the greatest delight. Swiftly they took up the pretty garments and slipped them on, saying, "What's present, Danny boys, are we and no longer covers we will be," and then they hopped and danced about. And at last they danced out of the door. They were never seen again, but it went well with the shoemaker as long as he lived.